Manchester United are officially 2 weeks away from the season opener against Hull as they continue their preseason tour with a 1-1 draw against Champions League holders PSG. On the transfer front, no real action in over 3 weeks as the Reds start to sweat a loaded schedule with a seriously thin squad. How we feeling? How we doing, sir? It's good to be back in the bunker. You're on the road. Good to see ya. Should I panic? I want to panic. I feel like panicking.
I'm nervous. Look, PSG 1-1. It's still PSG. We look good. Mbeumo's looking real sharp. He's ready for the season. There's lots of positives here for Manchester United, except that midfield's like Mason Mount made a glassmate. I got the Mason Mount kit on. I've backed him since he come to United. It's heartbreaking to see him deal with his injuries. But the fact that it is 2 weeks before we start playing for keeps against Hull City, and we have questions about the midfield of Manchester United, which we've had questions about for maybe 7-8 years. I mean, we had old man Uncle Cass pulling the magic out of his hat last season, getting us over the line. We have no replacements. Ineos is sleeping. What is going on at Manchester United? Carrick deserves to be back. He did so great last year. This team looks great. We need some pieces. We got to get over the line, sir. We need signings. We need bodies. We got Champions League, baby. Come on.
Champions League that, you know what, when you rewind the tape, they fired a manager in January of this year. No business being in Champions League. And somehow Carrick found a way. Carrick, even against what I'd assumed would happen through the second half of the season, found a way to finish in third place. Pip Villa, Pip Liverpool, Pip Chelsea, and they are not backing them. And it kind of looks like old United. You know, Ineos, they've messed up a lot of things. I feel like the recruitment's gotten a lot better. Last summer was solid. The profile has been good, but it feels a little Woodward-esque. It feels a little bit like they're dragging out sagas. They're going after names that they know might not be interested in, and they're just dragging to show me, you know, the lad, we don't need to learn his name, from Real Madrid. You should have known in a week whether or not that was Tchouaméni. Lewis Hall, same thing. That's dragging. We're dragging out sagas for players that probably won't end up at United. Last summer, we dragged in Mbeumo for 5 weeks. That was okay because he ended up in the squad and we didn't have to worry about European football. But it's kind of beyond befuddling. It's craziness. It's crazy talk. I can't even believe where we're at. 2 weeks till the season starts. This man got you third place. There are real pieces in play. This is a solid team with basically no depth. We have no depth. That was the big look at the PSG game.
And more games,
but like we have no depth. Like Mason Mount goes down the 19th minute and they bring on the Fletcher kid and he's like, yo, bro, you can go to the championship because you are not ready. And I'm not calling out academy lads because I love the academy, but I'm just like, yo, calling a spade a spade. We need EPL proven killers ready to rock tomorrow, and we are not there, and I'm getting nervous, sir. I'm sweating in the pod room, not because of the humidity. How are we feeling? Getting nervous. I'm nervous.
Can't judge a window before it's over. That being said, we are leaving it late. Way too late. I feel like this has that. Remember when Ten Hag started the season and we got blasted in our opening game? And then
Brentford 4-1, bro.
Signed Casemiro.
And Anthony.
This has like that vibes all over it where we're trying to get away with one. You can't get away with one when you have Champions League football. Those are 8 group stage games now that we got to play. There's so many more fixtures. The team was thin last season. We had injuries that plagued this team. And you lose Casemiro, you lose Ugarte, and your answer is Santos and Tielemans. Those are great signings, but you need more. We need more in the midfield at Manchester United. They're talking about a left back. I don't care what your strategy is. I think we've gotten away from the splashy Woodward strategy. But they're getting a little too cute, where it's like they're on plan A, which is Lewis Hall. Then it's plan B, which is Lewis Skelly. Then it's like plan D, some guy from Salzburg no one's ever heard of. Why are we talking about this guy? If this is the guy you wanted, go get him 2 months ago. I don't like leaving this business late when we have such promise. Carrick did us a solid. We got to build upon those momentum. You remember in 2018, Jose finished second in the league, and they didn't back him at all, and we floundered and exploded into smithereens the next year, sir. But before we break everything down in this America Red Devils podcast, we got lots to talk about. We're going to talk about PSG. We're going to talk about Rashford getting back in the team, the Lewis Hall news, the quiet summer, why Ineos isn't signing players. So stick around if you want the Muppet take on everything Manchester United. But before you do that, please like and subscribe to the podcast. Wherever you listen, get over to YouTube, comment below, like and subscribe as well, because it helps independent fan content and it helps us get the word out that Manchester United is going to have a great year. But before we do, we got to beat that transfer drum because we need bodies.
We need bodies, and you know what? History repeats itself, is what they say, and history seems to be repeating itself. Second place finish, like you said, for Jose Mourinho's men not that long ago, and they fed him to the wood chipper, and it feels like they're doing the same thing to Michael Carrick right around the corner. So I can't believe it. I can't believe that we're in a position where they're not spending money on this manager when we've cleared off a lot of wages. We've got room to move, and here we are. But let's break down the most recent preseason game of the season, sir. We played PSG in Scandinavia. It was a 1-1 draw. Let's get into this 11. It was a decent 11, looking like something we might see coming out in a couple weeks' time against Hull, right around the corner, sir. That back four, let's go. First of all, Heaton's in net, hilarious in the first place. Tom Heaton, jobs for the boys. Shout out, I want that job. You only work hard in preseason, otherwise you're good. Luke Shaw, Ayden Heaven, Harry Maguire, Mazraoui in for right back, Santos and Mount. Oh man, that's your solve to everything. Shea Lacey at 10, Dogu on left wing, Mbeumo up front, Amad on the right, sir. Pretty decent 11, all things considered. 2 weeks away. We still have some players coming back. No Bruno, no Cunha, no Sheshko, but not terrible, all things considered. Let's hop into this game.
Bruno was on the bench.
Bruno's on the bench. Tielemans on the bench. Cunha is flying into the Irish camp with Rashford. We'll get into it a little bit later, but let's get into this game. United conceded early. Classic stuff from United, conceding in basically the first 90 seconds. But I thought afterwards we kind of buttoned up shop quite well. Big call outs. Mount got injured again in the opening 20 minutes. I really think he's a great player, but it's all about availability. He's missed just under half of every game available in his Manchester United career, not dissimilar to Martinez, not dissimilar to De Ligt, and those are the type of players that you just can't survive to have, especially when you have three of them. We've used to have one of them. You have Phil Jones, you have an Eric Bailly, now we got three of them, and it's killing us. Positives. Amad and Mbeumo looked really good. They linked up well. I thought Santos, once again, continues to perform and impress. Maguire in heaven, other than that early goal they gave up, we're good in the air. And Mazraoui, maybe if he could stay fit, could take a run at the low spot. I also thought in the second half, Bruno came on and looked really nice with Tielemans. Those two look like they just get each other right away, which is really, really kind of promising. But the big takeaway was this. Like, they brought in their heavies in the second half. They brought in Vitinha. They brought in João Neves. They brought in some other killer who I don't even know about. And we brought in the Fletcher brothers, and I hate to say it, Harry and Moss. And the drop-off was immense because, like, those kids who I think have real talent, have real future, Harry and Moss needs a loan. Both the Fletchers need loans, and they have no business being counted upon as, like, hey, you're next up against, like, João Neves and Vitinha. We actually held our own. But the takeaway is this team is really promising with no depth at all. We have no depth, and that is terrifying as we head into a season.
In key areas, I would say we have depth. Like,
goalie?
Keeper, I think we're good.
Goalkeeper,
Goalkeeper, we're good. Right back, we're good. Center back, assuming De Ligt can start the season and Martinez isn't carrying a serious injury from the World Cup final, which it looks like that isn't the case, we're good. Left back, you can argue for if Dogu pushes up, we need another left back. Midfield, huge issues. Look at the 11: Santos, Mount, Lacey. Santos, Mount.
Keep going.
The two.
They're good when they're fit.
Remember when Amram put Bruno in the two? Didn't really get the best out of him, and there was a giant gaping hole in the middle of the field, kind of like we saw early in the game, very chaotic versus PSG, and it was their B team. It was wide open. We did get a hold of it, but it was like Bambi on ice a little bit, and that middle of the park is so important. Tielemans, is he going to be the guy who's going to be that deep six who's going to do a lot of defending? He can do the hard yards, but he's more going to be linking up Bruno, thinking passing forward. We need another proper destroyer CDM. It's what Ugarte should have been for this team. He's injured catastrophically. You could argue you could run it back if he was healthy. You cannot now that he's injured. And for me, this is the big issue. This game is encouraging, but our squad depth is at a critical level right now in key areas for this team. And no serious footballing organization would look at this and not be absolutely concerned about 26, 27 from play 3 cup competitions and the league at that level. Hull City might not be a problem, but you're going to run into some serious issues.
Yeah, especially as the season goes on and injuries happen beyond even the players who are constantly injured. Like the player, Dogu's and Mods, don't even get on Luke Shaw. They'll pick up little little injuries where they missed 2 games, 3 games, 4 games, not, a third of the season. And we just don't have the depth to weather that storm. And that's what concerns me, especially because there's so much promise in this squad. I really like the signings that have been made over the last couple of years, but we need more better. Just finishing up the recap of this game, and Mbeumo had a nice goal with Amad. I thought those two really linked up well. I thought Amad came on, looked hot, looked like he was in good form, not like we saw as he tapered off in the second half of the year after AFCON. Mbeumo getting a nice goal.
He looks really sharp, and Mbeumo looks ready for it. Bit between his teeth, great free kicks. He looked like he could score 2 or 3. Most dangerous player for United. That's great, given Šeško's injured. To have Mbeumo, hey, we need him back at that 20-goal level. Didn't find it last year, but he's got it in him. And to see him running hard in preseason is great. It's great as a United fan. So that's a huge, huge positive, sir. So let's hear what the manager had to say about PSG.
Mr. Nice Guy, Michael Carrick. Mr. Nice Guy, let's hear from Michael Carrick. We're all rooting for you. Are they going to bail you out in the last 3 weeks of the window? We will find out, but let's hear from the gaffer.
Let's talk about this game first. How do you reflect on this game today?
I enjoyed it, actually. It was good kind of thing to take from the game. Good challenges. I think slightly different the way they play to what we had to adapt to. And we should have scored more goals. I thought we pressed particularly well at certain times. Won the ball back high with the pitch and looked really dangerous on transition, which was kind of what we have done really for the last few months. But it was good to see, and some of the football against man for man, again, very different to what we've played against. The boys adapted really well, so there was a lot of positives from the game. I enjoyed it.
I'll tell you what, sir. Whatever happens this year, I'm just relieved. Michael Carrick, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. I'm not gonna you know what? He goes out there, good game, should have scored more. He's not like Ruben Amorim's already talking about suffering at AC Milan.
Bro, you got to give the fans meat. You got to give the fans meat. He's going to be stuffed in that cannon, and they're going to fire it away.
I know,
Trust
they're
me.
screwing him, bro. They're screwing
If United, we're not even going to talk about that scenario. One note on Mason Mount. He did leave the stadium on his own 2 feet. No crutches or nothing. If you watch the video, he looks like he's powering through something.
Yeah.
His gait is a little off.
It's off.
That was definitely for the cameras there. So just, you can't. I like Mason Mount. I got this as a Mason Mount kid. Front office, look at the numbers. Look at if he could stay fit, he'd be a great player. There's a lot of players we can say about that on this team. We'll talk about that a little more later. Sir, should we get in to Marcus Rashford?
Let's get into
United
it,
just handed him the number 14 shirt and put him on a plane, P-Jet, to Ireland. That's not a loan rejection, sir. That's a welcome home for Manchester United. Marcus Rashford, number 14. How are we feeling about Rashford reintegrating into the team? Kit number announced today.
Sure, it's like a new signing. This is more than you could have ever asked for. Who would have asked for a 20-goal scorer across all competitions in La Liga last year? He's got a point to prove. And the biggest takeaway from Marcus Rashford, we knew this was coming. As soon as the Barcelona deal fell apart, where they didn't exercise the option, he said, I don't want to go anywhere else. He had options from Turkey. He had options from Saudi Arabia. They probably would have taken care of everything, but in his head, he's still a world beater that only deserves to play at a handful of clubs. We are still one of those clubs, even though we're in the mud, and he's back. And the biggest takeaway I could take from the first pictures that you saw was holy shit, does he not look happy to be here? The biggest takeaway was he's just yeah, I gotta be. It's so obvious he doesn't want to be here. That was my takeaway. I think he'll be integrated. If he has a point to prove, he'll be useful. We do need a left winger. He can be dangerous, but if he doesn't want to be there, the only thing that's keeping this squad together is cohesion. The only thing that's keeping it together is the fact that we've gotten rid of the Antonys and the Sanchos of the world.
Fair.
No, it's true.
How are those guys doing?
Yeah,
how are those guys
doing? They're doing great. They're all looking for clubs.
Yeah. So we did go through the positives on Rashford coming back, and we don't really have the money to sign a winger of his caliber. But it's almost can we leave the drama at the door? Can Rashford leave the drama at the door? A lot of hardcore. He's going to be received well at Old Trafford. There's no doubt in my mind. But ultimately, he has done a lot of things that he should ultimately, I would think, if you're coming back to the fan base, apologize for. He should say, hey, my bad, or I wasn't in a good headspace or something. he went on podcasts and literally like blamed United, then like thanked Unai Emery for him to get back in the England team. No mention of United. Oh, by the way, we're the one paying all the money he's making, which is like incredible that United has him on this amazing contract. We gave him this contract. There's like no love lost for Manchester United for Marcus Rashford. After the World Cup, so there's those photos of him on the yacht, with all these young ladies. That's another component of it, like the optics of Marcus Rashford.
Go to the yacht photo.
Look, this photo, there is nothing wrong with this picture. I am a New York Giants fan.
New York Giants. What does that mean?
New York Giants fan. Sir, there was a famous photo of Odell Beckham Jr. and a bunch of New York Giants players, and they had a bye, and they went down to Miami, and they were all on a boat, and they took a photo, and they came back, and they got their ass kicked in the playoff game. This photo ain't a problem. You're going to score 20 goals in the EPL. This photo is a problem if you mail it in at Manchester United, get paid a lot of money, and don't ultimately show up or take your job seriously. So for me, Marcus Rashford, there's a lot of this, not a lot of world-class play on the pitch. I need to see more world-class play on the pitch. He hasn't had good optics. Generally, he's kind of behaved like a little child. He's much older than that. I hate to say that about Marcus Rashford because he was supposed to be a lifer at United and, be our captain and probably break Wayne Rooney's goal-scoring record, and it kind of went bad. Threw his toys out the Prem. I feel like he needs to be a little more thinking about how he looks coming into Old Trafford, really humble and going to work hard to play very well for our club. I don't know if I get that vibe, but again, if he plays well, no one cares.
Nobody cares, man. We went to Miami. I get it. It's a vibe. You're a star. You're rich. You're young. You're famous. But at the same time, this has played out thus far as such, in my opinion. He never thought he was coming back. He did it. And when he did, he never thought he was coming back. All the United talking mouths that feed intel to the Athletic and to the Independent, whatever, to Drucker, they were just like, he's got to be welcomed with open arms, which I believe. I genuinely believe. Even you and I, who have been critical, will be like, yo, dude, you're on our team. We're in it to win it. We're all in this together. We row in the same direction. As long as you're on board.
He has to be on board.
No, exactly. Let me get there. But he never thought, and then there's no yo, sitting down doing the question. That's got to be coming. The interview's got to be coming by September 2nd or when the window. The interview's got to be hey,
it's coming.
It's coming. It has to come. It hasn't happened yet because there's still an outside chance that I guess he could be sold to somewhere. But that will come when the transfer window ends. All good, but the appearance from the pool or the beach versus when he showed up at training was that he didn't want to be there. And I get that.
Yes,
at the end of the day, you're a professional, bro, and you are a United Academy lad. You're back in with this crew. It's not our fault, by the way. We would have loved to
but
sell
shouldn't there be some, if things have changed from his perspective, don't you have some PTSD, China White, Belfast, going to the Knicks game, not caring about getting a manager sacked, Ruben Amorim, the whole nine. I mean, obviously he doesn't rate Ruben Amorim, but
who does?
This does give me a little bit of PTSD from that. I would think he would have just come in maybe a little more humble and ready to go, kind of showing people he's all about business if he wants a deal. Look, none of this matters. This is all a Muppet take. It's just, as a New York Giants fan, you have that famous boat photo. Nothing matters if Rashford comes back and starts banging him in at Old Trafford. Nothing matters. That's all we want. We want to get past this BS. I feel like everyone's got to be a little nervous in this situation because we don't know what we're going to get. He could be sold still. He could come in, be our starting left winger, score 20 goals, lead us to a title charge. So everything's on the table. I'm hoping it goes well, but man, in the back of my head, I'd be lying if I didn't say there are alarms going off. So I think that's enough on Marcus Rashford.
Let's move
on. We're going to touch on central midfield for Manchester United. I think this is the number one topic.
I'll tell you what, I recruit the one on the right. She could be in our midfield. I'll tell you, I want that for my players. I want dogs. I want dogs everywhere, sir. And you know what? I don't mind it. Mason Mount, he is a dog. He's got that dog in him. You got the jersey.
You got to score 20. You got to
make it fit for a season, bro. You got to make it.
You have to be playing better than what he has played in order to be balling out like that. You know that.
I know that. Let's talk about Mason Mount. Tell me about Mason Mount. What's
Hey.
going on with your boy Mason? Number 7, by the way, another cursed number 7. We got to laugh a little bit. He's a good guy. He actually he's a player. He is a fucking player, but if you're not fit, don't matter at all because dude, it's sad because he actually would be a great option. But like as soon as this noise started coming out a week ago when United started dragging their feet on a third midfielder, the cat out of Real Madrid is not coming. They started asking, does Manchester United even need a third midfielder? We got Mason Money Mount. We don't need him. We don't need somebody else.
Well, that was the most predictable spin.
Yeah, of course.
Look, Carrick said he got kicked. United fans,
That'll
we've
happen.
heard
It's
that
football.
before. We've heard that before. So we pull up the tweet August 3rd. I tweeted out, we're being spun that Mason Mount could be a serious, midfielder playing the 2 at United. I said, that sounds great, but he's not durable. Look at his injury record. If you're a director of football, you're making these transfers like Delit's one, injury prone. Mazraoui is one that's known and injury prone, and he has never really gotten that. He has lots of fits and starts United. Great player, just not available. We knew the same thing with Lisandro Martinez coming in, and you do these deals. If you're going to bank the future of Manchester United or the 26-27 season on Mason Mount's availability to do a higher work rate in the midfield for Manchester United, you're going to have a bad time. Look, I'm hoping it's not a serious injury, but it's not a great plan. And ultimately, Andrey Santos can't be the only hope for 50-plus games this season because he's going to get injured. And then who do you have? You're down to the Fletcher brothers. And I just am really concerned. To me, this is the biggest hole in our team, and it's the biggest theme for why the front office was really hot to trot on Tielemans and some other options, and then they pivoted to left back and just seemed to, I think they believe if you don't speak a problem, it doesn't exist. And this one is where fans we're smarter than that. You have to know that this midfield as it is cannot run an entire season to the level of third or higher.
No, 100%. With Champions League, it's one thing if you're out of Europe and you get knocked out of both domestic cups in the first round that you play. That helps your odds. I'm not hoping that happens. We're obviously in Champions League. That's 8 games. I hope we have deep runs in both cup competitions because that's important. I saw it 2 ways. I was like, either they're like idiots and they're just the biggest dopes around. They're like, they honestly believe that Mason Mount is finally going to stay fit for a season and be an alternative in the midfield, or they're posturing to the market and say, hey, we don't need you because we got Mason Mount and you don't have to hold us over a barrel. I'm hoping it's the latter. I think it's probably the former.
Sure, maybe they're just eating paella at Barcelona looking like a bunch of morons. I think that's ultimately what it is. People thought we were playing 4D chess with Frankie de Jong. The midfield plan was Mateus Fernandes. That was plan A, blew up in our face, right? Santos, they said, was not the guy. When we signed Santos, they spun that one as he is not the main man. The main man is yet to come. That's what they told us when they signed Andrey Santos from Chelsea. They're like, no. We are not done in the midfield at Manchester United. They signed Youri Tielemans.
Still not
and
done.
They said that does not preclude us from the proper CDM, the Casemiro replacement that we ultimately need. The Ugarte go again. The Casemiro replacement and the Ugarte go again. You can tell me Santos is Ugarte replacement. You can't tell me Santos is Casemiro. So Tchouaméni, Casemiro. We can talk about maybe Frankie de Jong, Casemiro. There's a lot of different players. Baleba, you could spin that one. But the fact we haven't heard anything here, and the club's trying to get away with it. And we've seen them try to get away with it before. It does not work. And that is ultimately the issue I have with Ineos is Wilcox and Barada. They're looking more like Richard Arnold and John Murtaugh because ultimately their CVs aren't that deep, especially Wilcox's is not that deep. And Ineos might be playing the Glazer playbook because we have seen this issue before where we have glaring holes in the team and we finished well and then we just decide to run it back. And midfield is not something to mess around with. You can get away with playing Diallo at left back. I'm not going to throw my toys out the pram about that. Fine. But central midfield, not signing a serious replacement for Casemiro, I got an issue. And by the way, you're going to have to pay up for that replacement because everyone knows you need it. That's just part of the game. Everyone knows we need it. The price will be high. You have to pay it.
Just pay it. Don't make it into a saga. And the posturing, because they probably getting their teeth knocked out deal after deal, has just been kind of hilarious. Like, we're definitely going back in. We got money to spend. And then 2 weeks later, when no movement happens,
What's
with
going
their
on?
tier 1 targets, they're like, we don't need it. We got Mason. Have you seen Mason Mount? He's our number 7. He's pretty good. I think he's going to make the whole season. And then this next story is quickly turning into that as well, sir. It's just like saga. It kind of feels like Woodward of old, where like, the thing I liked about the Tielemans transfer and the Santos transfer is they were done in relative quick order, wasn't dragged out. Now get into this next story, sir. Lewis Hall, bro. I mean, let's talk about this. Lewis Hall, we talked about it a couple of times, obviously well-liked by United. Newcastle have said, hey, we ain't selling them. They've sold a lot of players. They've sold Tonali. They've sold Bruno Guimaraes. They're the selling club at the moment. Like you said, Piff is out. They're good. They're bust. They're out of money. The line shut it down. Like Live Golf shut it down. Newcastle United shut it down. The problem is this. If you knew that, hey, Dogo's our guy and Rashford's probably coming back, left wing, we're okay for now. We need a left back because Luke Shaw ain't going to be able to play 52 games a year. We know that. The fact that he played every game in the EPL last year is a fucking miracle, But they should have known this, and they should have known this early, and they should have tried to get a deal done with Newcastle because they're not as prone to selling when they've already sold 5 players, because they're not. It looks so bad to their fans to sell like their 6th player of the summer, who's a very highly rated player, to Manchester United after they've already sold all these other players. So they've dragged it out. Tell me.
Yeah, Newcastle stomped on us. Said Lewis Hall ain't leaving. We've been like bubbling this for 2 or 3. Just give him a call. Like, part of the seriousness of this job is plan A is Lewis Hall, and then you wait 4 weeks to find out they're not going to sell him. That doesn't really lead to doing deals. What's plan B? Lewis Skelly. That died. What's plan C? Now we're on like some guy from
Bundesliga,
Red Bull
bro.
Salzburg that nobody's heard of. I don't care if you sign a nobody left back from RB Salzburg to be the backup to Luke Shaw and give us additional cover.
Yeah,
that's actually
fine.
smart.
That's fine. That's what Dogu was.
Do that from the jump.
Right.
Don't
wait a month.
Pretend like you're going to sign Lewis Hall when he's not for sale. Like what? Like that. The way that we go about this is asinine. Mateus Fernandes blew up in our face. Not even sniffing at Tonali. Not in for Anderson. Then all of a sudden we sign Santos. Panic. The strategy is you can't articulate the strategy because there is none. And at this point, having such a bad strategy in such a critical summer, getting Carrick over the line, 3rd place, Champions League, and not doing smart business in a way where you knew it was a World Cup, so you had to get tight business done early and then leave some late. But the critical business to get done early was the midfielder. They balked at Fernandes, and then everything since then has been cascading wrong for United. And we haven't even made up the ground because we haven't even signed the proper seed, the $80 million CDM that ultimately was plan A. We haven't got that guy, and we can still get that guy. But I just feel like the strategy plus the penny pinching is leading to just a bad setup. And 2 weeks out from Hull City is no joke. Hull City is not going to be an easy game with all these players coming back late.
They're going to be ready to go, dude. They're
Cunha is coming back late. All these players coming back. Like, it's okay, but they're going to take time to get back into it. Tielemans is going to be legit. Bruno is going to be legit. Cunha is going to be an all-star. But if you need to get a big dog CDM, the answer is not to try to do it late in the window. The answer is try to get it done now. And we are really sitting on our hands here. This strategy is really concerning. And the left back is turning into another thing that's blown up, and you have no idea what you're going to get. Because when you're on plan D and you're reeling, everybody knows that, and you're in trouble. I think that's really ultimately what I'm trying to say here is like, be more intentional.
No, they smell blood in the water.
Back is a plan.
They smell blood in the water. They saw that last summer was not this. Like I said, the only saga that was a saga was in Mbeumo. That dragged. Otherwise, it was quickish with Cunha. Obviously, there was a buyout, but even Šeško, that was done fast. We waited on Tielemans till the season started, basically, because we knew that would be an issue. But that was done. That was like another, like, hey, never heard of this guy, but he ended up being a legit player. Now,
how do you pivot from a position?
Yeah, but then
we pivoted from signing a CDM to a left back. Like, how do you go from a position and then to another one.
Because Mason
And then
Mount
that
played
blows
2
up.
games and looked pretty good.
In preseason.
It's not madness for a guy who's always injured, who's missed 47% of his games. He's missed
We gotta
just
get over
under
this.
half of his games. And it's now like, I'm telling you, it feels very, Woodward used to drag these sagas out because, like, hey, he admitted once, he's like, it's better to just be in the news even if you're not doing deals, because at least still people are talking about you. Still clicks. You're getting clicks. You're known. That's
There's not a lot of
insane.
clicks going on.
No,
there's not a lot
Dude,
of
a
clicks
lot of
going
empty
on.
seats. I'll tell you what, a lot of empty seats. The PSG game was the first game that felt like a proper Manchester United match. Fans want Lewis Hall. We asked the USA Red Devil faithful, the American Red Devil faithful, sir, by a resounding mark, 80% want Lewis Hall. Miles Lewis Skelly with 5%. Stick with Harry Moss, 13%. You're getting cold. Harry Moss, I love Harry Moss, but I'll tell you what, they brought him like the backup right winger or left winger from no, he's a right winger from PSG, bro. And he cooked Harry Moss, bro. Like, Harry Moss needs a year or two in the championship. Good player, but like that was the level. That was kind of like,
what's
holy
the
crap.
plan?
They have no plan. They're flying
You
by the
could
seat of
put
their
all of
pants.
this. You put all of this in AI and be like, make sense of this transfer window. It could not do it, sir. And let's talk about this transfer window in detail. Look,
Let's talk about
2 solid midfield signings, 2 different profiles, and then radio silence for a club in the Champions League after finishing 3rd. Is this smart or concerning? I think we're trying to be too smart is how I would structure it. Ineos really think they're like, hey, we're not doing these big money deals. We're not doing it, and we're not getting better. This is English Premier League. We're not messing around. The whole city ain't going to mess around. And I feel like the front office is F around and find out, and we're going to find out here. Reminds me of that summer with Eric Ten Hag where we didn't have a midfielder. We tried to get away with it, and then panic bought Cass.
Bro, they've done this.
Overpaid.
They've done this to every manager. Every manager that has made Champions League football since Fergie retired in 2013. They have, even whether it was Ineos, Glazers, or Glenios, they've ran this playbook before. You have a manager who overperforms, finishes in Champions League. Ooh, get that sweet, sweet Champions League cash. Can't wait. Ooh, yeah, that cash is going to just keep on coming. And then they dry up the cash books. And they don't spend. They did it to Mourinho, and he went fucking nuclear. They did it to Ole. He went Mr. Nice Guy. They did it to, Eric Ten Hag, the Dutchman. Ruben Amorim never finished the Champions League. And now they are in the process. We are 3 weeks left in the window. We have 2 transfers in. I actually really like the transfers. So I think like the recruitment side is better. It's just that we are still run by cheap
It's
ones,
too slow.
bro. No, it's
too
insane.
slow,
We need to
and
spend money,
we
bro.
lost out on Plan A. Too many Plan A whiffs.
Well, they just not. I don't think they're willing to spend real cash in the way that we need to be spending 300 million. I mean, I'm not saying this as like a spoiled little brat. I'm saying this is just reality. Look what Chelsea are spending. Look what Spurs. Look what City are spending.
Spend up?
Yeah, I'm showing.
Spend up? Look, look at our net spend.
We're 8th
It's like in between
Bournemouth and Everton.
Brentford, Ipswich, Everton are all ahead of us. Arsenal is behind.
Which is also classic.
At the moment.
Kroenke's
That
tightening
might
it up.
change.
Well, that's before Bruno Guimaraes, probably.
But look, Chelsea, Tottenham, City, Liverpool, those are our rivals, all ahead of us by a significant margin. And United, the last time we did this, like a proper slow spending summer, like the last time I could come up with, summer 2018, Jose Mourinho finishes 2nd in the Premier League on a tear. The Glazers shut off the cash coffers. They signed Fred for $52 million, Diallo for $20 million, and Lee Grant on a free. Net spend was around £44 million. That's coming off an 81-point finish under Mourinho. And he wanted Harry Maguire. They wouldn't get him. They wanted a bunch of players. He actually threw his toys out the pram.
He went nuts.
Complained in
He
LA
went nuts.
at UCLA,
remember
complaining about how called out the ownership. And the next season was a bloodbath. Even if you finish 3rd, even if you finish 2nd, look at our rivals. They're not standing still. They're not treading water. We've seen this happen before. You mentioned the Ten Hag summer. We start the season, and then we get punched in the nose. Then they make panic buys that's not a great strategy either, right? Signing Varane, Casemiro, overpaying for older players,
Anthony.
Because at that point, when if you play Hull City and you get blown open, or you get a big injury, the prices go up at the end of the window for Manchester United. So
And we can
We've
afford
seen
it
this
from
before.
FFP.
It's too quiet of a window off of like all the momentum. Carrick coming in. We need more. I'm not saying you need to spend 300, 150, 200 million is pretty reasonable for like trying to stay with the pack here. And that would be another CDM, a left back, and a number 9. Big part of why we're hurting so much, we can't sell players. Ugarte got injured. By the way, should have sold him before. We didn't do that. Xerxes,
Can't sell him.
we hear weak rumors, can't sell him. Marcus
Bayern Deer,
Rashford,
can't even sell
another
Bayern Deer.
one.
That's a loan. Vitek went for nothing.
Onana.
Nothing. Like, it's just, we can't sell. We got bad wages. We don't know what we're doing. So this is, I'll
But
run it back even
who's on
further.
that?
Bro, we did this in 09.
That's on the front office.
We did this 09, bro. We did this when they sold Ronaldo for record money to Real Madrid. And they got, who'd they get? Antonio Valencia, Oberton. And Michael Owen. And it was like, and Ferguson was the greatest of all time and found a way to make it work and still won a couple extra titles, went back to the Champions League final, lost to
Moyes'
Barcelona.
first window.
Yeah, they bottled
David
it, bro.
Moyes.
They just got Fellaini in
Post
there.
for Alex.
Fabregas. It's been, dude, they're still incompetent. They still try to be too clever. And at the end of the day, you got to spend. You have to spend
There's also
money.
the Van de Beek window, 2020.
Good God, there's so many. I thought it happens
when
every
we
2
had,
3 years.
we were flirting with Sancho. We didn't get Sancho. That was like a very weak summer. Van de Beek didn't turn out well.
He was a disaster.
A lot of underwhelming windows, a lot of bad signings. We've seen better signings, and this is really going to test Ineos. We're leaving a lot late, and I'm just very nervous. Very nervous. You could do some business in January, but
You don't want to. The only January you do is Bruno Fernandes. Bro, like, you ain't doing nothing in January. We got Dogu and Heaven in January. They were great. Last time we did nothing. Previous to that, than like Bruno in 2020. It's just like you have
what
to get
about
in
Bruno's
something.
new deal?
Nothing.
Nobody's
bro.
talking about Bruno's
he's gonna leave
new
on
deal.
Bro, he's gonna leave on a free, and he's gonna be like, "I'm going to
Nobody's
Spain.
talking
I'm gonna
about
go to
Bruno's
Spain."
new deal.
And this, why would he stay? I love Bruno Fernandes. He has no. I would not stay at this club. This club is poorly run.
He shouldn't. If this is the window.
Dude.
This is the window.
No, he should not stay. I'd be like, yo, bro, I'm out. I'm going on a free transfer to Real Madrid or to Barcelona. I'm going to make a shit ton of money. I'm going to win stuff, and I will be adored there as well. But like, we adore him. He's a great player. But the fact is, this club lacks ambition because our owners, it's been saddled with debt, and the new guys came in and they played it cheap, and it's like, just I think they're trying to juice the books and try and like optimize cash flow as much as possible to position the company for a sale in the next 12 months. Cause they know that there's no like optimizing their way out of this. The Premier League is too competitive. They just like, they can't, there's too many clubs. There's too many people coming at you. It's not like back in the day where there was like 5 big clubs and you could sleepwalk into Champions League. It is a knife fight everywhere you look. Every team, bro. Hull City's gonna be coming at us in waves, bro. They're gonna be
where do we finish if this is it? Where do you think we finish if this is
sixth or seventh?
I would say I'm 5th or 6th.
Sixth.
Right
That was
now.
the 6th
Like,
feels about right. This guy's called better than me. I never heard that.
I like this.
I like this
the
team.
The real tough part, and people could say that we're negative. It's actually like, no, I actually think this is a great team, and we are dying for key parts of it. And I think we forget sometimes how many games, when you add Champions League in, how critical it is. And ultimately, there's a lot to do, sir. But let's jump into fan questions, finish the podcast, and hope we got some transfer news next week because we're all dying out here.
No, that's the tragic part. Is like this team's got real bones. Like this is not like we're running
and a real manager.
We have like a legit manager who's like no one thought he'd be this good of a manager. Also, we have a lot of good young prospects. We just need depth so we can weather the storm that is Champions League football. Because by the way, it's just 8 just in the group stage before you go to the extra round or what. It's like there's so many games. You need a squad. Let's get into the fan questions, sir. I'm sorry, I'm ranting.
We're feeling it.
I'm sick of this shit.
Pod therapy, we're nervous. You can tell American Red Devils, we're cracking here a little bit.
This is a big week, by the way. This is a big week.
If you remember, a huge week. We could do real deals. We're just nervous. We talked about how we have to sign real talent because we have to prove to Bruno he should sign an extension. That's how we ended last season.
I remember.
Now it's like
he's gonna leave, bro. He's gonna leave. And it makes me
Tielemans, Bruno Connect was so silky.
I know. We're gonna get 1 year of that. We're gonna get 1 year of that.
All right, get us a fan question, sir.
All right, appreciate all the American Devils who listen in. We're not trying to get too doom and gloom, but we Seen this movie before. At
Ineos listening, sign players. Let's go.
sign players. At SS Grok 17, great game for the lads. Well, at least we know we can rely on Mount. Ha ha ha! That fella needs to be moved on. Said it. Like I said, every time since I've been a United fan, we've had a player that was always hurt. Louis Saha, Phil Jones, Eric Bailly. But we've always had like one at a time. Now we have 4. 3, definitely 3 with Mount, Martinez, DeLitt, and Maz is like borderline. And that's what's sad is because you could be a great player, but if you're always injured, it's like, dude, you're no use. You can't
I like
rely
him,
on
dude.
this player.
And
He's
by
a good
Mount
player.
Was integral for us getting to the Europa League final, which didn't matter because
We
Abrams just
found a way to
absolutely
lose
bottled
it. How did we find a way to lose that game? But fans,
Worst game I've ever seen.
Ever.
Worst game I've ever seen in my life.
Ever.
We suffered. Ruben Amorim suffering in AC Milan. Need to beat him. We need to beat Milan. It's on the leads, sir. On the leads. And if you like the American Devils, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. Support independent fan content. Give it our YouTube. You want to see the podcast in 4K. These Muppets. We're sweating. We're working hard in the bunker, sir. We love the game. We love this club. And man, we need some bodies in. So get to americandevils.store. Grab some merch. Check out our newsletter. americandevils.com/newsletter. We get the free amazing ARD news. There's not a lot of transfer news coming in, but hopefully soon, end of the window, some panic buys. We need those panic buys. Let's go. Hit the panic button. Let's go, Ineos.
Panic buys, it's still a buy is a buy. I don't care the context it happens. Make them good. Let's talk about last top 10 cities, last 7 days. How you doing? Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, California, New York, Dallas, Texas, Orlando, Florida, Houston, Texas, Brooklyn, New York, Columbus, Ohio, Dublin, Ireland, and Atlanta, Georgia. Appreciate all the American Devils listening week in, week out. It's getting hot in the bunker. Humidity on the East Coast is apparently comparable to the tropics, sir, while I was there. They said it was like the rainforest, like the Amazon rainforest, and it felt like it. And I'll tell you what, Amazon All or Nothing, like when they're like I can't wait to watch that.
No,
I
forgot about that.
I did not forget
don't.
Because guess what? Every time they've had a club that's like sweating it late in the window, Spurs look like morons. City is just this like financial engineering machine.
They won't let them show it.
No, but yes, they will, because they're just like they probably signed
No,
up.
but we're watching an amateur operation, and
I'm sure Ratcliffe's involved in
we
everything.
wrap this pod is Ashworth was the guy who could actually
Not him again.
reset the market.
I know.
We could sell players. We could buy players. People would know we're serious. Wilcox and Barada, they have that same, like, no idea what they're doing feel. Look at the Mbeumo deal last year. Dragged it out, paid top dollar. Like, it's just very similar. Like, can't sell, doing this stuff. The front office, it starts with the front office, really. And I think once you hired Ashworth and then sacked him, and then Wilcox, who wasn't supposed to be in the role, who doesn't have experience, if you look at his CV in that role, stepped in. It's more of the Murtaugh type of regime we're seeing it. It's
leave us on a high, bro. Leave us on a high.
Or it's
jump
Sir
off a bridge.
Jim's fantasy team. Or it's just Sir Jim just telling him what. He's a yes man. And Sir Jim just tells him what to do. And it looks like shit. And that's what we're seeing. So ultimately, I think if you don't have a serious, like, world-class front office, you're not going to be a world-class club. And, we're being hamstrung. So get us out of here, sir. Let's get some signings in. And everything will be all right.
They can still turn it around. Get Mateta in, get Lewis Hall in, and get me injured Balaba. And I get, you know what? It would be a win of a window. Whatever it takes, make it happen. Come on. Don't leave this team out to dry. Don't leave this manager out to dry. Don't leave this captain out to dry. Manchester United need to believe again. Back the manager. They don't have to be sexy. They don't have to be glamorous. Just get fucking bodies in. Get me, the next Dogu at CDM, who you haven't heard of, who apparently Brentford just bought and is supposed to be really legit. And we're going to try and buy for 3x in a couple years. Anyway, that's enough. We've seen it all. We've won the lot. We're Man United. We're never going to stop. We'll see you on the next podcast. We appreciate the support. Peace.